Getting dizzy! Thought you had me!
A diversion. The wind leaves no trace.
I'll take it from here!
Please step back.
Counterattack mode!
The frigid wind is coming. Are you ready?
Sing your head out! Not done yet! Sing your head out! Illusion! Right here, right now! What a loyal fan! Got a summer surprise! Get a sign for it? Not done yet!
Beware. Suffocating now.
Let's hit the stage like this!
How rude of you. Be gone.
I'll take it from here! Serves up! How's this for an entrance? Time to play! Sing your head out!
I
That wasn't over yet!
Here.
Not done yet! Let's create the most beautiful stage! Keep up with the beat! Win the win! Sing your heart out!
Is that all? Swift wind? Howling by. Sink into the water.
I'll help blast your shuttle sky high! Hit the beat!
Please step back. Suffocating now.
Not done yet! Angel Ultimate! Wink wink! What a grand entrance! Sing your heart out! Keep up with the beat! Not done yet! My time to show you! That one's a pig! Intercept! Seal! Get!
That was smooth.
Final one!
Nothing slips through my defense. Don't cross the line. The best defense is a strong offense.
Together, we'll compose a miracle!
Don't cross the line. ends with me. Nothing breaches my defense. Nothing slips through my defense.
Big talker!
Don't stop. Heads up.
Easy peasy, right?
Countering. Removing threat. The best defense is a strong offense.
How's not over yet?
Don't cross the line.
Fiend, in the name of hope.
Nothing breaches my defense. Don't cross the line. Your journey ends with me.
We fight together. Got one for the plate. If you spot an ethereal, shout for help.
Nothing slips through my defense.
Final one. Turn around. Smash them.
Nothing breaches my defense. The best defense is a strong offense.
Today's work order, kick some butt.
Your journey ends with me. Keep up.
Together, let's create. Watch out, Nangong. Summer memories will give me strength. You'll regret choosing me as your opponent. It won't hurt. I'll make it quick. In the name of summer, I don't lose. Looks like there's some time too. Together, let's create. Remember the first ball. You'll regret choosing me as your opponent. It won't hurt. I'll make it quick. At the beach, Alice Timefield is unstoppable. Together, let's create. Now, riposte. as your opponent. It's walking. I'll make it quick. I offer you the dazzling star of a summer night. Together, let's create summer night. Get close enough. Feel the sea breeze. You'll regret choosing me as your opponent. The show's already started. It won't hurt. I'll make it quick. In the name of summer, I won't lose.